Just ignore the thing except for the time. Otherwise, just ignore it. All the satsang comes out, like I was just saying, after satsang. Then people open up with questions. Then they want to have the good conversation. During satsang, it's like, you know, like a bunch of statues out there. Terrified. Do we have a question? No, nothing. The minute the camera's off, then everybody comes out of the woodwork with, what do you think about this?
I noticed in that book that I think they're referring to 0 point, what do we call it?
0 point balance.
0 point balance. They're calling it oneness, I think, in this book I'm reading. I think that's what probably I haven't read Song of Mind, but probably that's what.
But he talks about going beyond oneness.
Oh yeah. Oh.
He does talk about, and we're talking about referencing Master Sheng Yen, who is a Chan master, Chinese Chan, like a Zen master. But this is why I recommend his books, because he does talk about oneness is different.
He sure does.
Than realization. Because in oneness, there is still, even though it feels like it's so expanded, there's no me, there is a me, because you're one with, you know, I'm one with this reality. And you feel like there's only one, but there's such a connection with it, and this bliss is there, and all the love, and all the highest ideals one has as ego are there in place. And so, yeah, people want to stop there because they haven't truly lost their identity, you know, and this is when all of the ideas of mastership come up and Messiah complex, and oh, now we're going to have this great love and we're going to save the world, and, you know, it's still because there's still persona that's in there. But in realization, what happens, ooh, there it goes, poor Miss Roddy. When in realization, what happens is there is no me, it's blown out. There is no me. And this is very scary to a lot of people. When you say the me goes, there is no me. Then they think, they go off on it, well, then you must be a robot. It must be, how can you talk? I see you talking, therefore there's a me. You know, and all this intellectual stuff starts going. But really, when it disappears, it just disappears. And looking everywhere, there cannot be something that can be found that is a me. Because all the conditioned mind is dropped as well. There's nothing driving any longer. But this scares the bejeebers out of people. When you go from oneness to zero, that complete not two, not two. Because you can't say one is divisible. One is divisible. But the zero, that's why zero came into being, it's not divisible. Okay, that's why we call it zero. It doesn't mean that it's empty and void without anything. And that's what people go, oh, I'm entering this emptiness. No, they're entering dullness. It's not emptiness, because emptiness is full, complete, whole, pregnant with everything. So it's really different than people's ideas of specific words that they hear, such as emptiness and void, and you know, it's not void as devoid. It just means it has no substance of materiality that you're going to see. But you know that it's there, and it's more real than anything that you see with materiality. So yeah, there's nothing to fear in having no me. It's absolute liberation. But it's scary to say that. I'm going to lose my identification and all the good things about myself. Yeah, one loses nothing in the end, the illusion. Yes?
Well, I guess that's one of the difficult things as long as we're here, to dare to believe, to dare to trust that there is something else, something more, something better because it's without suffering.
Yeah. Yeah. And there is something more. But it's not something that ego's going to gather and get. And that's what people want. They want to know that my ego is going to get enlightened. Ego doesn't get enlightened. That's why a lot of the masters, they'll say, are you enlightened? And they'll say no, because there's no me that gets enlightened. There's enlightenment there by the very fact that there's no more delusion. But there's no me persona. And they know when people are speaking, that's what they're referring to. Is there a persona there that's enlightened? No. Persona does not get enlightened. Persona implodes, and then there is only enlightenment because it's just reality. But one doesn't become a bigger, better, grander person. It's not that at all. One becomes absolutely ordinary. What is the great height when you know that the ground of being is the same in everybody? So this inflation only comes before in oneness. You know? When oneness falls away, then there's just that ground of being. And that ground of being is the same no matter what the situation. Where can there be an elevation? One becomes more simplistic, ordinary. That's why they call me the Big O. Just ordinary. There's no show left. For what? You know, for what? Doesn't matter. If you see a real sage in a crowd, you're not going to notice them. Because they're very ordinary, not showing big city powers and this and that and all of this other stuff that goes on. That happens before. You know, that comes along the way. But really, when everything falls away, one is just absolutely at that point feeling 100% ordinary. Ground of being. But there's no suffering, no mind play, no, lack, none of that. So it's just such a different consciousness.
Guruji, in the Song of the Mind, talks about coming to the great doubt, which is a preliminary to enlightenment.
Yeah.
I didn't quite understand that.
Yeah, I think the way that they talk about it is kind of a bit confusing. But the great doubt is that doubting that there's a me that's there. Okay, the doubt that I exist. First one has to come to this great doubt, do I exist? So that's what they're talking about, the great doubt. Not doubting the path, not doubting your teachers, not doubting that, but in that basic doubt, do I even exist? You know, it's like when Amrit came and things started falling away and a couple of days before realization, and he's looking in the mirror and going, me? I? And you look and there's not even a,
Connection.
Not connection there. And you're looking at this form going, me? What's this me? It starts to feel unreal. The me starts to feel, what is this? Me, I, what is this? And you look at the form and you're looking at it and it's like a foreign object and you're looking at this going, what is this thing? So yeah, that's what they're talking about. The great doubt is the doubt of the ego self. And then something will happen that'll trigger and it'll just fall. It can fall away gradually or it can be just a sudden shift, boom, and everything falls away. And whatever one looked to see as persona is not there. Yeah, you see a form. Doesn't mean you're going to look in a mirror and there's going to be no form there. You see a form, but there's no connection with that form. You're just looking at a coin. That's an odd-looking thing. And this is what you were so attracted to for so many years, and you just look at it and it's just like, this is odd. Me. So there's a lot of shifts that come along the way. Sometimes you'll feel like you're in the body, out of the body, you know, like you're watching the mind, separated, in witness state, watching the mind, watching the form. This shows you that you're not that form, you are not that mind. If you're outside of it, can watch it, then you're not that mind, it's an object.